Yeah.
Hey guys, About the Mighty here, and I'm back with another Eve Echoes video. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the last faction frigate that is released, and that is going to be the Dramiel. Before we get started, if you do like my content, please leave a like on the video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you want to be notified whenever I do release new content in the future. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at the Dramiel. So the Angel Dramiel is the last faction frigate that we have to look at that is currently released. There still is more that are not released, and we will take a look at those too in the future, but right now it's the Dramiel's time. So the Dramiel, what it gets is it gets a plus 50% warp speed bonus and a plus 50% warp acceleration bonus, meaning that it's going to be a quite zippy little ship and get around from point A to point B extremely fast. Also, it gets plus 5-second damage control activation time. Not too bad. It gets the same thing as the assault frigates get. So, other than that, for advanced small cannon operation, it gets plus 10% small cannon damage and minus 5% small cannon activation time. Advanced frigate command bonus, it gets 7.5% small cannon tracking speed and 10% small cannon accuracy fall off. Its basic info, its overall defense is 4,103, with a flight velocity of 477, a warp speed of 5, a power grid output of 61 megawatts, a capacitor of 639 gigajoules, and a cargo hold capacity of 260. Okay, so that's the core fit on this. Now, this ship is one of the only ships that I actually own on live. I own it on my alt account, and I use this ship quite a bit. Now, I do have it fit out basically exactly as is shown in here as well. I just don't have all the skills at level 5. Even though I'm extremely close. My small cannon is 554 with 5 days left on it until 5. And my frigates are, all my frigate skills are 554, I believe, in every single one of them for my alt account. And so what did we do with this ship here? Well, in our high slots, we have Gisty C-type small autocannons. We have 3 of those in there. In our medium slots, we have a Predator Stasis Webifier, a Predator Warp Scram, and a Vikarlakis Small Energy Nosferatu. Now, again, I primarily use my ship for PvE, and when I use my ship primarily for the PvE, often I'll actually change out the Predator Warp Scram for some type of E-War on whatever I'm using. So if I'm fighting against turrets or whatnot, I'll change that out to a Tracking Disruptor. And I usually run with something like that in there. In the low slots, we have a Sinti C-type small afterburner. We have a Pith C-type small shield booster. And we have a Gist C-type gyro stabilizer. Now, the small shield booster, there are ways where you can actually get a medium fit in here. So if we try to do it here, it is gonna barely fit in. And that is with the max skills. So if you don't have max skills on all of your engineering and everything, the shield boosters and whatnot, then you may need to do some finagling to get it fit, or just put in a power grid rig, if that's how you want to go with it. And it does work out pretty nicely to actually have one of those in there. I a lot of times put the small one in there just because I don't very rarely need it. But you can do what you will. Alright, for the rigs, I do have basically the same setup I use on all of my speed tanks. I have 2 of the polycarbon engine housing 3s and 1 of the auxiliary thruster 3s. I want to go a little bit faster, but make sure that I can orbit pretty tight. And full damage. So we have a cannon burst aerator, we have a couple of those in there, and a cannon collision accelerator. So all damage. What this gives us is a total of 474.18 DPS. As far as our defense goes, we have 5,828, 1,640 is in the shields with an EM resistance of 10, a thermal resistance of 20, kinetic 40, explosive 50. An armor resistance is the same, 1,640 with an EM of 50, a thermal resistance of 35, kinetic 25, explosive 10. The capacitor, well, right now it's 1 minute and 4 seconds, minus 11.24 gigajoules, minus 113.5%. Capacitor capacity is 958 gigajoules, with a recharge time of 242 seconds. Whew. Power grid. This is at 90 out of 91 if you fit the ship out like this. Again, you can move stuff around as you see fit. It is a speed tank, so I mean, the medium shield booster may or may not be needed, depending on where your skills are at. Targeting has a radar sensor strength of 13 points with a scan resolution of 1284 and a signature radius of 21, and can lock a maximum of 5 targets. And navigation, it moves at 787.05 with a warp prep time of 0.98 seconds and a warp speed of 7.5 AUs. I like this ship. It works wonders for me for just getting around from point A to point B, and it also lets me speed tank quite well and have a bit of fun with the frigates. I do like all the faction frigates. I think they're all very cool in their own ways. I really like this one for just the purposes of being able to get where I want to get and do what I want to do just that quick. Okay, so that's what it looks like here. I'm going to go ahead and take this guy out. I will see you at the combat anomaly. All right, here we are outside of the encounter. Let's go ahead and move and see how fast this ship can go. So when we turn on our afterburner, we are sitting at a navigation of 2,274.57. Not too shabby. Let's warp in and see how it takes this. That's celestial bodies. It's obviously not going to be in there. Here we go.
Warp drive active.
So I love this little ship. I have so much fun in it. And it's a great stepping stone, especially if you're looking at doing cannons to get all of the additional time on your ballistic controls, and you're going to be training up the small cannons anyway. Just a great ship. Okay. So we're going to set our orbit, and we are just going to start blapping. So this guy goes pretty fast and can have a tough time hitting some of the smaller targets and doing full damage. But other than that, it works very well. Very, very well indeed. Okay. It has a lot of agility, and I think it applies the damage decently. Probably not the best, but pretty decently overall. It is able to keep a pretty tight orbit. I mean, we're doing 1,007, 1,008, and we have our orbit set at 1 km. It's not hitting numbers that are screaming, but it does do the numbers very quickly. All right, let's start moving our orbit into the next person. And we really haven't had much damage even applied to us as of yet. We can turn off our afterburner. And we're still going relatively quick. But as you can see, it does add some damage. But for the most part, the damage is still around about the same. Okay, so with the damage mod active, we are doing 607 DPS. So it's definitely not the highest damage of the faction frigates, but it does pretty well. And with its ability to actually just travel around and get things done, you can save yourself a lot of time just from getting from point A to point B. With this ship, I do like the Angel Cartel ships. I think they're very, very good for, especially if you're going to be doing PvE encounters. They let you just go from point A to point B and get rid of a lot of that travel time. So whichever one that you decide to use, they are usually going to be the fastest ones in their category. And that travel time really does equate to a lot. You'd be surprised. Can shave off a ton of time during missions. So yeah, this guy goes very, very fast and does a lot of damage and can even speed tank without even having the afterburner on. You're just going to give a 1 pulse there to get into orbit. It does have a relatively close range, though, that you do have to stay in if you are using the autocannons. What we're talking about here is you're looking at an optimal range of 1.5 with an accuracy fall off of 10.45. So 50% damage out at 11. But, I mean, it's still extremely safe to do just about anything with, especially if you're against webbers. If they catch you and they web you, it doesn't particularly matter. And that's because you can basically keep your afterburner going and not care about the webs. Oh, what are they gonna do? Slow you down? Alright, so as you can see, we're still doing in the 600s as far as that goes, without even turning the afterburner off. We do have a couple of weaker hits. Obviously, we're not applying that damage 100% fully, but it is able to track very, very well. So unlike some of the other faction ships where I had spinning around that were getting much, much reduced to damage, this one has pretty good tracking. And can you see now why basically I said the shield booster that you're using doesn't really matter for the purposes of PvE anyway? Because you're not really taking damage. So if you don't have the skills where you can put a medium shield booster in there yet, don't even worry about it. Your small is going to do you just fine. Basically, if you were having to use the medium shield booster on a regular interval, something was probably wrong, or you're fighting against missiles. And then there's something to actually be said about having the ability to rep more than in bulk. Yeah, we're making short work of this Brutix. Cutting through him pretty nicely. And he is the toughest ship here. So they do have Disruption on us, and they do have a Nosferatu on us. The Disruption is going to make us lock slower, but we have everything locked up anyway, so that doesn't really matter. And we're just going to sit here and do our circles. I'm just very surprised on how well this ship does keep the orbits. Alright, let's go after the next smallest target. Even though we just hit the largest. We're going to take out one of the small guys now. The bigger ships can't even hit us. It's not even close. There's nothing they're going to be able to do to us. It's basically you have free reign in your little circle here. It's one of the reasons why I really like these faction frigates. I do like speed tanking quite a bit. I find it quite enjoyable. Very fun playstyle. What does that mean, really? It does mean that you could take out the other low slot there. The shield booster itself. And you could replace it with more damage if you really wanted to and complete these missions even faster. That wouldn't be an issue, I don't think. However, I do like to have the security of having that. But one of the cool fits that you can actually do with this is you can put in like a large group shield repper. Like, for example, we're not ever using the scram here. So if you're just truly using this for PvE and you don't need to have that scram for any reason whatsoever, then why not replace it with a large shield booster. Carry some fuel on you. After you carry the fuel on you, then you can replace the shield booster in the low slot for another ballistic control. Get ballistic control, another gyro stabilizer, and you can get even more damage out of the ship. And when you have the more damage out of the ship, you'll be able to complete your encounters quicker. So there is something to be said about that. Doing missions quicker is always better. And we are about to take this Vexor out and start our last wave. Okay, so the last wave, we have some smaller ships in here. Let's get them all locked up. Let's tackle this guy first, because he is coming right at us. We're in range. Now, some of those small weapons do have the tracking to be able to hit you at these high speeds. They do have us warp scrammed as well. That's fine, though. We're going to come into orbit around the frigate, and we are going to teach him a lesson. Let's go ahead and slow him down a bit. Okay, and we are seeing some misses and very low damage on the frigates, so we could slow down and take him out, but we're still able to actually hit him consistently. It's not going to be a big issue. And there we have it. Just like that, we are back into the realm of we can just orbit around and be absolutely fine. We took some glancing shots that dinged our shield a little bit, but we don't even have to buff that out. At the end of combat, that'll just come back. So what we have, the damage mod activated. We're going to go ahead and take out one of the larger ships. We just cut through him. All right. Not bad. Now we're in the thick of things. There's really nothing they can do, and we can just speed tank to our little heart's content. And just so you guys know, if you do activate the booster, those mediums do take a huge chunk of your power grid. So just be ready for that. It comes back relatively quickly, but it does take that huge chunk. Okay, we're going to start moving over to the second to the last ship now. The Thorax here. And we'll save that Brutix for last. Get ourselves back up to our 607. Yeah, everything works really well on this ship, and I think it looks really cool too. It's just a very nice ship. Okay, and with the Thorax going down, we are going to move over to the last ship in our encounter. And we can turn off the afterburner. That's not necessary versus this guy. And that's it. This poor guy here just gets to sit in his cocoon until he dies. Brutix. And so that's pretty much going to be it for this encounter. There's nothing much more to do here. So I really enjoy the ships. I like the faction frigates. I hope all of these videos let you just kind of see what you can do in the PvE with them. And for anyone who's doing any type of giveaways or has the option to get a ship, maybe you'll be able to make a more informed decision if you were trying to see which ones you liked and what they could do. I will be going over some of the faction frigates that have not been released yet as well, but this is going to take care of everything that has been released. And then I'll do another video that'll be an overview video of all of the faction frigates and just kind of a second look at them all as well. They'll have very particular roles that they like to fill, but just because they want to fill those roles doesn't mean that you can't use them in a PvE or PvP experience that suits you the best. I want to thank everybody for watching. I really do appreciate you, and I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I will see you in the next video.